Everyone, how's it going? I hope you all survived Snowmageddon 2021. Oh my goodness, I am never want to see snow again. It was too cold. I hope you all have power and I hope you have water now. I know there's so many people that didn't have any power, didn't have any water. We were lucky. Ours only went off for a little bit. It was a few hours, but it got down to like 40 degrees inside my house because it's really old and my house does not hold heat, so I can't imagine being without it for days. So I hope you guys are doing okay. I thought about you a lot. I put this GIF on here, this dog, because that's where we all want to be right now, right? Laying out in the sun on the beach. Okay, so today, don't freak out too much by the reminder that there's a test tomorrow. I'm going to show you how to solve the quadratic equations today by graphing. Last week I posted a couple of videos. We did it by factoring, and then you actually looked at something called the square simplifying radicals. There was another method that I was going to post last week, but I really decided it was just too much for you guys to have to worry about. It's something that you will go into in depth in Algebra 2, so I'm not too worried about it. And you can even solve those problems. Graphing is going to be your preferred method. This is the way you're going to want to solve all quadratics. So think of it more like we're learning something. I'm going to quiz you on it tomorrow. The test is not long. It's pretty short, and you get to use Desmos on it, and it's going to be just fabulous. You're going to be like, it's going to be easy. I promise. You're going to be like, this is so easy. Okay, so here's what we got to do. Let's go over to Canvas. So here's your work posted for today. You're going to do this GimKit activity. I don't know if you ever played GimKit, but it's pretty fun. I've never used it in my class, but I know other teachers that have used it. So you go and you're trying to earn money. And so every time you answer a question correctly, you can buy power-ups and you can earn more money. And so that's what you're going to do. You're going to play GimKit. I think I said it for like maybe 30 minutes or something. Play GimKit and practice these problems just like in our notes. Now we're going to go back to our notes, which is right here. Here's our Unit 7 journal slides. So we're going to go back to that, and I'm going to pull that up right now. So this is your notes. And then I am also going to pull up right beside it Desmos, because this is how we're going to solve by graphing. We're going to let Desmos graph for us. Okay, so here's the steps to solve any quadratic by graphing. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Actually, I don't know why that just moved that to the middle of my screen. That's annoying. To solve by graphing, here's what you do. You first need to move all the terms on one side of the equation. Your equation has to be set equal to 0. If it's not set equal to 0, it's not going to graph it correctly in Desmos. It won't graph it, okay? Then you're going to go over to Desmos and you're going to type in the equation. Remember, we're talking about quadratics, these things that have x squareds in them. But now when you type it into Desmos, you can't put the equal to 0 part. And I'm going to show you some examples. Then you find your x-intercepts, guys. Your x-intercepts are your solutions. So when you're graphing these things, they might look like this. Here's some options here. So we're going to kind of go over a little bit of vocabulary words. So the first thing to remember is that where our graph crosses the x-axis, these little points right here and here, those are your x-intercepts, right? Wait, actually, I don't want to say that. Sorry, excuse me. Okay, so those are your x-intercepts. So what we need to remember is that if it crosses twice, then there are 2 x-intercepts for this one right here. And because it's crossing twice, well, your x-intercepts are your solutions. So this guy here, this graph has 2 solutions as well. Well, there's some more words that we learned for x-intercepts. You may not remember this one, but it also has what we call 2 zeros. Remember, 0 is just another word for x-intercept. We're going to learn another one today, too. It's called root, 2 roots. So all of these words, x-intercept, solution, 0, root, they all mean exactly the same thing. You have 4 words that mean the same thing in math when we talk about quadratics. And zeros always means an x-intercept, even if we're talking about graphs of lines, linear equations. So this is what you need to remember. If you can remember that your x-intercepts are your solutions, and they're also called zeros and roots, it's going to make this so easy. So look at this parabola right here, this quadratic. This shape, the U shape, is actually called a parabola. We're going to talk more about that this week we'll jump into Unit 8, and we'll learn all about these guys and their key features and their intercepts and all this stuff. But do you see how he's just kind of like the bottom of the u is just kind of sitting there on the x-axis. So it actually only crosses at one point right there. So instead of having 2 x-intercepts, this guy only has 1 x-intercept. Oh, so then this one is only going to have 1 solution. So remember at the beginning of the week when I told you guys that sometimes these things have 2 solutions? Most of the time they have 2, but sometimes they have 1, and sometimes they have no real solutions. Well, this is an example of one that only has 1 solution because it only has 1 x-intercept. So then it's only going to have 1 0, and it's only going to have 1 root. I mean the same thing. Okay, well look at this one right here. Is it touching the x-intercept at all? Notice how the arrows are going up, so it's not ever going to turn and go down. This thing is just a U shape that's going up. No, it never touches the x-axis. So this one we say it has no x-intercepts. Well, therefore we would say it has no real solutions. So just keep that in mind. Oh, then it has no zeros because it didn't cross the x-axis. And then it must have no roots. Well, we actually would say no real roots, but for our purposes, this is okay. So I know that seems really redundant to write all that many times, but I really want to get stuck in your brains, guys. X-intercepts are the solutions. They are also called zeros and the roots. Okay, so let's jump in and look at some examples. So we've been looking at ways to solving quadratics. We talked about how factoring. So the first thing you have to do is you have to make sure it's equal to 0. Well, look at this one. It's not equal to 0. So I'm going to make it equal to 0. I'm going to draw my line. So I need to move that -4. Over there where -4 is, I want that to say 0. Look at example 2. That one is equal to 0. Great. I need example 1 to look like that. So I just need to move my -4 over. Well, the opposite of -4 is what? +4. So if I add 4 to both sides, boom, I'm done. Because over here, -4 plus 4 is 0. That's what I wanted. I wanted that to cancel out over there. I wanted to equal 0 on that side. Okay, well then I look over here and I say, well, I have a -3x squared plus 4x and then plus 4. And I notice that none of those are like terms. One is an x squared, one's an x, and one's a 4. So I can't actually combine any of that stuff. So there it is, equal to 0. -3x squared plus 4x plus 4. Set it equal to 0. Our next step was type it in Desmos. So here I go, over here to Desmos. -3x squared. Now, if you can't remember where your squared is, you can use that little house top on top of the 6. You have to hit Shift 6. I'll put it up there. Or if you come down here, here's your squared right here. I just squared a squared. I don't need to do that. If you click this A to the power of 2, it puts the squared on it for you. But I just type it using my keyboard. But that may be easier for you. Plus 4x and then plus 4. Now see what it's telling me? It's like, whoa, what are you doing here? You know what I didn't type? Yeah, I didn't type y equals. That's what it wants. It wants me to tell it that it is. Oh, you know what I did? Like, I thought I could graph this. I can. You know what? I think it's going to graph without the y equals. Yeah, it will. But here's what I can't do. I can't put equals 0. Okay, do you see if I type the equal 0 part in? See how Desmos is like, I don't like that. Okay, so if I take off the equal to 0, it graphs it. Okay, now this one is actually tumped upside down, but that's cool. Remember, you can click on all of these points right here. So there's lots of points for me to click on these, much more than there are lines. But remember what I just told you. The x-intercepts are your solutions. Now, not the zeros. That's the y value. I want the x value of the x-intercept. Oh, well, I have 2 and this -0.667. Well, this is really not -0.667. They've chopped this off. This is really negative point. Anytime Desmos does this with the 7 here, they've actually rounded it. It's 0.666666 repeating, and you have to remember that that's the fraction 2/3. And if you can't remember that, come over to your calculator and type in -. And just fill up your screen with 6s, right? Because that's really what it's doing. Then you can hit math. Enter. Oh, that's -2/3. Okay, so our solutions here, we have 2 of them. We could have x is equal to -2/3 and x is equal to was 2, wasn't it? I don't know why I just took that off. I need to figure that out. Yeah, 2. X equals 2. There's your 2 solutions right there. I mean, how much easier is that than having to factor this? Remember, I told you guys in the video for Tuesday, that you would first have to factor it, then set each piece equal to 0 and solve it. This is why I told you this is going to be your preferred method. So this is all you need to know how to do for the test, for the quiz tomorrow, is set the thing equal to 0 first, graph it in Desmos. Okay, so let's look at example 2 over here in our notes. Okay, look, this one is equal to 0. Boom, right there. So good, I can just come over here now to Desmos, and I'm just going to graph it. So x, remember it's down here. You can't remember how to type it on the keyboard. X squared plus 3x plus 20. I cannot put the equal to 0 part. I have to leave it like this. Now, do you see how I don't have my picture here? If I come over and hit my home screen, usually it shows up, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes you have to zoom in and out. Oh, well, look at this one. Is this one touching the x-axis at all? Is it crossing it? No, because this one is not, then we would just say this one has no real solutions. It doesn't cross the x-axis. So that one doesn't have any real solutions. No x-intercepts. Now there are solutions actually, but my iPad is going crazy here. Hang on a second here. Where are my notes? There we go. Okay, it's done. Anyway, it does have solutions. However, the deal is they're not real solutions, okay? So you won't learn about those till Algebra 2. That's why we make sure we say no real solutions. We don't say no solutions because it does actually have some. They're just complex. But anyway, that's an Algebra 2 problem for you. Okay, I want to look at one more type of example that's not in our notes, but I think it's going to be beneficial for you. So let's say you were given this problem right here. Let me zoom out a little bit here, see if this will. Okay, so let's say you have been given this problem. Find the solutions to 9x squared plus 4x equals 16. Okay, well, remember, first thing is it has to be equal to 0. So I'm going to draw my line. Well, I have positive 16 over there. The opposite of positive is to subtract 16. So I'm going to do that on both sides. Nice. Okay, well, 16 minus 16 is 0. Nice, that's gone over there. My screen just froze for some reason. There it goes. So now I'm left with 0 on this side. Okay, and I see that I have a 9x squared, 4x, and a minus 16. None of those are like terms, so I'm just going to write them down. So setting these equal to 0 and solving them are actually like really easy. So now I'm going to come over here to Desmos and I'm going to graph it. 9x squared plus 4x minus 16. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to hit my home button because it usually gives me a better view. Oh, this one is definitely crossing the x-axis. So you'll get something like this, crazy decimals, right? But then look at my answer choices, A, B, C, and D. Do what? Yeah. So what your answer choices will look like sometimes is they want like exact answers. And so these have these crazy square roots in them, and they don't want you to give them these negative decimals and these crazy long decimals like this. They want an exact answer. So if we had used something actually called the quadratic formula, this answer's choices will look a little more familiar to you. But this is what I told you guys that I didn't post last week because I knew everybody was out of power and it was just crazy. And really, you're going to see this more in Algebra 2. And I do want you to know, like, how can you say, which one of these is these answers right here? So here's what you can do. You can come over here to your calculator. And I would take my answer choice. I would just take the first one. I would say -2. Now you see this plus minus. So what that means to do is say plus 2. And I'm going to type in my square root. That's the blue button, remember? Square root 37. So first I'm going to do -2 plus it. Enter. Then I'm supposed to be dividing it by 9. Divided by 9. And I would go 1.129. And so then I come over here and I look and I go, was that one of my answers? Yeah, it could be this one right here. So I probably need to check my other one now. and see if it matches. Then it wants you to say -2 minus now. That's the plus minus. That's your two answers. One of it is -2 plus this number divided by 9. The other one's -2 minus this number divided by 9. I know that seems a little confusing, but that's just this notation that they use. -2 square root 37, and then I hit enter, and I have to divide it by the 9. It's important that you type it like this too. And that's -1.573, and then I go look. Hey, look, that matches. So A is actually the correct answer for us. A is the answer. Now, if I had started typing, I'm going to type in another one to show you, like B here. So I have 2, and then I have to do the plus 2, and then I have to do my square root 37, enter, divided by 9. What do I get? I'm getting a positive 1.57, and I look and I go, do I see how it's negative here? It's supposed to be positive. So I can already go, okay, B's not going to work. And usually if you type in just the first one, you can see which one is going to match. I'm going to type in a couple more just so you have some more reference on how to type this in the calculator. Let's try C. Let's see why it doesn't work. So it's -2 plus, I'm doing the plus one. I could come back and do the minus one if the plus one works, if it matches one of my answers. 9 square root 37, enter, divided by 2 this time. 26. Do I have 26 as one of my answers? No. My x-intercepts are -1.574 and 1.13. So you can see that C is not going to work. And D would be the same. I think we're going to get something like really crazy if we do D. Let's see, we have 2. We'll start with, I'll do the minus one this time. -9 square root 37, enter, and I have to divide it by 2, enter. I'm getting a -26. No. See, D can't be one of my answers either. So really, really clearly right off the bat, you're going to see, oh, yeah, that one matches one of my decimal answers. So that's how you type in an answer choice that looks like this, and then compare it with a calculator to what Desmos is giving you as your x-intercepts. Because Desmos is not going to give you answers that are exact like this. They're always going to round your decimals. Okay, so for today, I want you to go and I want you to do this GIM kit. If you feel comfortable working with these problems in the GIM kit, you are going to be like just fine on the quiz test tomorrow. I'm calling it a quiz. It's going to feel more like a quiz. It actually is going to be a test grade though. Yeah, so type in your real name and it'll get you started with the questions. Hopefully you played GIM kit before, but I think it'll be kind of fun. But that's it. That's all there is for today. And then tomorrow we'll take that little quiz. I think it's like 7 or 8 questions. Like I said, it's pretty short. Should be pretty easy. To recap, to solve quadratic equations, type them in Desmos. Look for the x-intercepts. Your x-intercepts are the solutions. They're also called roots, zeros. 4 words mean the same thing, but your x-intercepts are key with quadratics. Those are your solutions. It's so much easier than factoring or using the quadratic formula. Or there's other methods too, called completing the square. There's a lot of methods for solving these. There's square root method. Graphing is by far the easiest one. And you guys have access to graphing software, so why not use it? All right, that's it for today. Email me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them or go over some more problems with you if you need that.